do anything. Go ahead, Mike.
The time has arrived, Ohio sports fans. Sports betting goes live on January 1st. Download the betJack app today so you'll be ready for all the action as soon as it gets going. betJack, Ohio Sportsbook. And we have Tim Couch.
Nice.
What's up, Tim?
Nice.
Tim, your thoughts on the win, man?
Nice.
Man, it's nice to have a victory Monday for a change, isn't it?
This is just our second one all year.
We haven't had many.
The other wins were on Thursdays and Mondays. And so you got to go all the way back to the first game of the season when they beat Carolina, when we thought Victory Monday would be a routine. It's been a long stretch between drinks of water.
It sure has. That was an exciting game. I think, the Browns once again came out on the first drive of the game, and their first 15, their script or whatever they do, looked awesome. And then the offense went away until the end of the game, and they scored when they had it. But, I thought the defense played really well. Obviously, the catch by Njoku to put the game into overtime was unbelievable. So it was a fun game to watch. I thought the Browns played a really quality football game, and it was great to get a big win at home.
What's funny is Jacoby Brissett a lot of times this year has played well, and in those big moments he has made some key mistakes. This game was the opposite. He didn't really have a great game for three quarters, but when it mattered the most, late in the fourth quarter and in overtime, he made some big-time throws.
He really did. You're exactly right. All we've talked about all year is Jacoby was good, early in games. He was managing football games, but when it came down to those 2-minute drive situations where you really had to have it, he was throwing interceptions in those situations. And yesterday, he really was good in that moment. And, I think that comes with experience, being exposed to that more. And, he's had that situation several times this year, so I'm sure he feels more comfortable with it now. But he made the plays that he had to make. They relied on Nick Chubb quite a bit, which was great. I think Chubb had over 25 carries, which was ideal. And you just keep giving that dude the ball, and eventually he's going to start breaking runs for you. So it was a great game. I thought the offensive line run blocked really well. Jacoby got sacked a bunch of times, but they were moving guys up front. Chubb was doing his thing, and the receivers made the plays when they needed to.
Hey Tim, what do you think about Kevin State's game plan yesterday? He did not do anything crazy. He played the percentages the way they're supposed to be played down the stretch, and he said he put the ball in the hands of the defense. And said, "You're going to win me this thing here." And Miles and Clowney responded to that.
Yeah, they did, and that's the way what we thought it was going to look like all season long. When the defense, we thought the defense was going to be great. We knew the running game was going to be great, but the defense has let us down consistently all year long. Except for these last few weeks, they're finally starting to play a lot better football, and they're closing out games. When you got a Clowney, you got a Myles Garrett. Those are the situations where you're going to close out games. And Brady, exactly where Brady's going to be in the pocket. He's not one of these mobile quarterbacks that's going to be moving around. So those guys can really just pin their ears back and go get him. And man, they made the plays when they had to. It was great to see.
Tim, Jacoby said after the game he actually didn't like the play call when they were going over the game plan on Saturday, the David Njoku play in the end zone. And Kevin said you believe in the player more than the play. So I'm just wondering, have you had that in your career where you don't necessarily love a particular play call, but you believe in the player, so you're going to go to him anyway at big points in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in those crunch time situations, you really call plays for players, not necessarily just plays. You're trying to get the ball into a certain playmaker's hands, certain matchups. And obviously Njoku in the red zone with his length and his athleticism, that's where you really want to go with the ball. You're going to get a linebacker on and maybe a safety. So it's a great matchup for the Browns. And even though Jacoby may not have liked the play, it was where the ball needed to go in that situation. And, man, he put it up there where only David could get it. And what an unbelievable catch and in a clutch situation that was. Went up with his left hand. For a tight end, man, you just you don't see many guys that can make that type of play.
Hey Tim, I'm gonna jump on the back end of Jason's comment. You've been in football a long time, college, pro. Talk to folk about this. In practice who the special people are, the people who can make plays, right? And sometimes you could just throw a crap thing to somebody, and I throw a crap alley-oop to somebody. Sean Kemp will go up and catch it. I threw one crazy in Orlando. I think this thing was offline. He went and caught it and threw it down. I was like, oh, my goodness. And who these people are. So when you get down to tight situations in the game, I'm a believer in you just put the ball in an area and give them a chance to make a play, and then you see what happens. You're going to have a better shot at it when you have playmakers on your team.
I totally agree with that. You get to know these guys in practice during the offseason, the type of plays they can make. And, you see them every day. Maybe you throw a bad ball and you think it's going to be incomplete and the guy makes an unbelievable catch. You start to trust that guy that you can just kind of get it anywhere in his vicinity and he's going to make a play for you. Njoku is such a big body guy and so long that, his catch radius is huge. And he's got such great leaping ability. So you really trust him to put that ball up high, and he's just going to be like a basketball player and go up and get a rebound for you. And, he's great in that area of the field, and I think he's had an unbelievable year. I think, going back to the offseason when he signed that big contract, we're all kind of scratching our head a little bit like, right, well, why are they giving this guy so much money? They're paying him like a top tight end. But I think he's played like it this year.
He
I really
it.
do. I think
he played great.
He earned it with
did.
that,
I think he's played great football, and he's really surprised me with the progress he's made from a year ago. He was really inconsistent with his hands early in his career, and this year he hasn't dropped many balls. I know he dropped one yesterday, but he's been really consistent this year and making a ton of plays.
Tim, give Jacoby a grade. His 11-game stint appears to be done, barring some sort of injury or whatever down the road. But how did he play for you? A, B, C, D, F? What do you give him?
Jay, I think from what my expectations were, I think I'd have to give him an A. I really didn't have any expectations of him. I didn't think that he would do a whole lot at all, but he's really surprised me. I think, if you look at all the games, except for maybe a couple, he's really given the Browns an opportunity to win each and every week. And that's all you can ask for from your quarterback. He's been let down by his defense a few times. Play calling has hurt him at times. The offensive line, the protection has hurt him at times, but he's played winning football. I think he's, for the most part, taken really good care of the ball. He's gotten the team in and out of the right plays. He's going to the right spot with the football. He's been accurate with it. He makes strong throws down the field, managing the game, and I think that he's a good leader. You can see the guys respond to him. So I would have to give him an A considering what my expectations were coming in. So I think he's played a tremendous season. He's really helped himself, and he's definitely going to prolong his career for the performance that he's put on this year.
Tim, Deshaun Watson will take the field next Sunday in Houston for the first time in almost 2 calendar years. We know how talented he is, but as I said, he hasn't played in 2 years. Right. Wherever he goes, including in Houston, the boos and the comments are going to be crazy. Like, he's going to get harassed like no other player has, maybe since at least Michael Vick, probably. What are your expectations for him? And if you were in this situation where you were getting just roasted by the fans every week, what would your advice be to him in terms of how to handle that?
That is a tough one. You're exactly right. Probably Michael Vick is the only one we could compare what it's going to be like for Deshaun. We saw him in the preseason, and the fans were giving it to him pretty hard, and it's just going to be like that for a long time for Deshaun. So he's going to have to find some way to block that out, man, and just focus on football, which that's way easier said than done. You can say I'm not going to pay attention to it and not going to focus on it, but you hear it. As a player, you certainly hear all those comments, and you just got to find a way to have some thick skin, man. That's the only way you're going to get through it, and just try to go out each week, each game, be a better, show that you're a better person, you're improving off the field, and just show people that you're a changed man. And I think that's it's just going to take time for him to do that. But it's going to be a rough few weeks for him to get through all the verbal abuse he's going to take, especially on the road. But I think as far as on the field, with him coming back next week against Houston, a team that's only won one football game this year, I think that's a great way for him to kind of come back and get his feet wet before he starts playing some really good teams. You got Cincinnati, Baltimore, Washington coming up in there. So he's got some good teams coming up down the road, but this is a good game for him to come back and get his feet wet a little bit and get used to playing out the speed of the game and getting back out on the field.
Well, Tim, talk a little bit about that speed of the game. Like, for a quarterback, it's a little bit different. I don't think we've talked about it as much at that position because quarterbacks usually don't have that long of a layoff. Like, quarterbacks are always usually playing, especially if you are a franchise quarterback. Have you ever had in your career where you sat out or maybe been injured and had to come back and play in the speed of the game? How long do you think it takes to get adjusted to seeing throws, guys closing on the football, timing with receivers? I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's only played on the scout team, and that's not game speed. How long do you think it will take?
I think that's a really good question. And I don't really know the answer because, the games that I missed were only, for a few weeks here and there. I haven't really, had an injury or something happen where I was, missing, years of football. It's very difficult, no matter how talented you are, to just take 2 years off from, the best competition in the world and just walk back out there on the field and say, I'm back, and you expect to play at the level that you were a couple years ago. And, I know Deshaun has worked hard. He's put in a lot of work with a quarterback coach, I'm sure, but there's just no way to simulate playing in a football game. You can go out, even OTAs and practices, they don't simulate that for you. They do to a certain extent, but the speed of the game, the intensity certainly picks up on Sunday afternoons when you're going out there and trying to win a football game. So it's going to take some time, in my opinion. I think we'll see flashes of the old Deshaun Watson, like, oh, there it is. That's what we're hoping to see, consistently in the future. But I think he's going to be a little up and down. I really do. For the remainder of the season, I think we're going to see a little rust. Trying to shake that off, but. Hopefully, his athleticism will kick in and he can make some plays, and he's going to make some plays in the passing game. So, I just expect a little bit of inconsistency, but maybe not quite the Deshaun Watson we're used to. But hopefully, he can build up to that and get that going up into next year.
Hey Tim, let me ask you a question here because you just made a comment. We got the remainder of the season left. What is your if you're on the sideline and you're Stefanski, what is your formula to winning a majority of those games? To giving yourself the best opportunity to win those games. What are your strategies?
I think what they've been doing here the last few weeks, they're giving themselves opportunities. It's just guys need to make the plays at the end of these games to go out and win them. It's rely on the run game. You got one of the best, if not the best, running back in the National Football League in Nick Chubb. You got an unbelievable offensive line to block for him. So you're going to take a lot of pressure off the quarterback just automatically having those guys. And, you're going to ask Deshaun to go out and, make the plays that, that's why they brought him here, is to make these plays off of play action, throwing the football down the field, moving the pocket, get him outside, let him use his athleticism and make those throws down the field. So I think that's the game plan. And obviously, if the defense continues to play the way they have the last few, then, you got an opportunity. You got a top 5 quarterback in the league out there. You got maybe the best running back in the league out there. You got Amari Cooper, who's playing, maybe, top 5 or so in the league at the wide receiver position this year. And you got great players on defense. So the roster is super talented. You just got to have the guys make the plays and put them in positions week in and week out to do what they can do.
Okay, so all that being said, you've got 3 practices now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. How much different do you think this offense will look going into Houston? Deshaun took a ton of reps in the preseason for this in order to get him ready for this moment. I was told he got about 20% of the reps here in practice last couple of weeks, a little bit more than a typical backup for this moment. So now, I don't think you can really tear apart the playbook in 1 week, but the way I put it was I think we can finally move away from calling offensive linemen as eligible receivers. We can get away from the 3 tight end look. How much different do you think this thing can look in 1 week?
Not a whole lot. I'm with you on that. I don't think there's too much you can change in this first week. I think maybe you can add a few more wrinkles, especially down inside the red zone, to use Deshaun's athletic ability. You can probably put in some more play action stuff, to take advantage of his big arm, getting the football down the field. The last time this guy was out on the field for a full season, I think he threw for 5,000 yards or so, maybe a little more. So he's going to push it down the field, and that's what he wants to do. That's his style of play. So you definitely want to to let him do what he does best, but you're not going to just overhaul the whole playbook just because you got Deshaun coming in, and it's pretty much going to be, I think, what we've seen all season long, except for a few little wrinkles, especially in maybe short yardage situations, red zone situations where you can really use Deshaun and give him that option, run pass option kind of thing. So I think it won't be too much, but just a little difference in certain situations within the game.
Tim, one thing that will be very different, though, is the way teams defend the Browns, right? Like we've seen a lot of 8, even 9 guys in the box against Jacoby because he doesn't, he's not as good a thrower of the ball as Deshaun Watson, even though he's done a nice job. But teams have defended the Browns and said, we're going to put everybody up here to try to stop the run. Jacoby, you beat us. They're not going to they won't do that as much with Watson, I would think, right?
You would think not, but they still have to find a way to stop Nick Chubb.
Sure.
You got to go into these games saying we got to stop the run, and that's why I was saying it's such an ideal situation for a quarterback to be in, and that's why we've seen Jacoby have so much success because when they're loading up the box for a quarterback, it really, simplifies your reads and progressions, and it's not as difficult it is when they're playing these zones and, dropping 7-8 guys in coverage. You get one-on-ones on the outside, you're pretty much just picking matchups out there and getting rid of the football. So for Deshaun, it really is, like I said, ideal. He's got a big-time tight end. He's got a great running game. He's got receivers that are making plays. Donovan Peoples-Jones has really come along this year, starting to make a lot of plays. So, when he gets these opportunities, he's got to be out there just, with his eyes this big. If the safeties are down in the box and he walks up to the line of scrimmage, he's thinking, home run. He's thinking big plays. He's going to be more aggressive than Jacoby Brissett is. Deshaun is a guy who wants to push it down the field, and I think that's going to kind of be the difference that we see within this offense is Deshaun really trying to get those big chunk plays, those home run plays more than Jacoby was trying to do.
Speaking of pushing it down the field, Tim, unfortunately we had a problem. We can't show the video, but I know you recently sat down for an interview with our guy, Sir Yacht, who was on our show. He brought a giant teddy bear when he came in our show. And there's a video, folks can check it out on Twitter, on Instagram probably too. And Tim's out there on what was Kentucky's field, of course. And Tim is looking sharp, and he perfectly hooks up with Sir Yacht for a deep pass down the field. How was the arm feeling that day, Tim?
It felt pretty good. I don't think I have many throws left in the arm, so he wasn't as fast as receivers I'm used to, thankfully, so I didn't have to put much on it. But he is a big guy, though. He's taller than I am. That guy's probably 6'5", 6'6", so he was an easy guy, easy target to hit. But we had a lot of fun doing the interview. He's very creative, he's very knowledgeable about the Browns' history and, especially, the quarterback situation that's happened over the last 20 years and stuff. So it was a lot of fun to sit down with him, and we had a blast that day.
He's going to be interviewing, I think, every Browns quarterback
from 99.
Yeah.
Fun. Some of them have to be in the witness protection program. Some of them are going to be hard to locate.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
Tim,
good luck finding Johnny Manziel, right? Get that guy to sit down for a
Is he still alive?
Tim, real quick, Sir Yacht actually was a D3 center back in the day at Ohio Wesleyan. Dude could actually hoop a little bit too, so he's a halfway decent athlete.
Hey, Tim, you coaching any football these days?
No, not coaching. Just going to my kids' games, man.
Well, I'm asking. There might be an opening in Columbus coming up real soon here. Real soon.
They want to find
that was a rough game Saturday, man.
Yeah, it was. Hey, did you guys end up beating Louisville?
Yep, they got
you
the
guys
cup.
beat Louisville, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't it?
We did. Yeah, we ended up beating Louisville. Yeah,
I know
it was a good win for it.
That puts a cherry on the season for sure, and you're bowl bound. So nice season for the Wildcats this year.
Yeah, it's a little up and down. We were ranked number 7 in the country several weeks ago, and we lost on the road to Ole Miss, and we had, a bunch of injuries. Quarterback got hurt. Our starting running back missed the first 4 games, so we just kind of had an up and down season. Lost a few we shouldn't have lost, but it is nice, like you said, to finish it off with a win over your rival.
Tim, we always appreciate you coming on, man, especially after a victory. I can't wait to talk to you next Monday about how different this team looks with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Big expectations. And we'll see what happens. Tim, enjoy your week.
Tim.
See you, Tim.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Jason asked a very interesting